Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey, and here let's check out two awesome assets made officially by Unity in order to give you a great starting point. You have the first-person and third-person character controllers. They are very feature-rich and super simple to use. If you don't already have some controllers you made yourself, then these assets can help you get a prototype up and running very quickly. They feature movement, gravity, camera, animations, and even some pre-built touch controls. They are completely free, so after this you can go ahead and try them out yourself. So let's inspect to see exactly what features they have, and then we're going to do a very quick guide on how to add them to a brand new game. Now before that, if you prefer a more guided path with step-by-step lectures, then check out my complete courses. Learn how to make a Builder Defender game using C# just like I make my own Steam games, or learn how to make games entirely using visual scripting, or learn all about Unity with the Ultimate Overview course, which contains over 30 lectures, each covering a different tool or feature of the engine to help you make better games faster. I'm always available in the courses Q&A section, answering your questions every single day, so check out all the courses with a link in the description. Okay, so let's look at these two assets, the first-person and third-person controllers. Like I said, you can grab them for free from the Unity Asset Store. Just search for it or use the links in the description. Just add them to your assets and open them up in Unity. Now, first of all, these are made to work with Unity 2020.3, which is the latest LTS version. It's the version that I'm using here. So you've got both assets, the first person and the third person. You can import them both into the same project. They share quite a lot of files. Now, as soon as you import them, you might see a pop-up talking about the input system. These packages are made to work with the new input system. So you get this pop-up which asks if you want to disable the legacy input and restart this project with only the new input. So if you want, you can just go ahead and click on yes in here. But personally, I still like to use the legacy input system, especially for these demo videos since it's so easy to use. And thankfully, you can use them both at once. So for me, I'm just going to click on no, and then go up here into edit, go into project settings. And on the player tab, just scroll down under other settings, and down here you see a field for the active input handling, and you can select the old input manager, the new package, or select them both. So do that and it will restart the editor. Okay, so with that everything is nice and imported. So I've got my start assets, and over here I've got both packages, the first person and the third person controller. Now these packages actually have some dependencies. They use the new input system like we saw, and also Cinemachine. Those should be installed automatically, but if not, you can go up here into Tools, Start Assets, and reinstall dependencies. So the assets themselves, they've got a nice README file. So you've got links to the asset packages, got some notes on dependencies, and there's also a link if you want to give feedback on these packages. And then there's also a PDF with documentation. So here you've got a bunch more detailed info. Okay, now to see them in action, let's simply open up the demo scene. So let's begin with the third-person controller, go inside the scenes and open up the playground. So here it is, and right away we see that everything is all pink. Now these packages come with shader for the built-in render pipeline, but as usual they can be automatically converted to work with any pipeline. So here I'm using URP, that's why it's all pink. If you're using the built-in, then you don't have to do anything. And if you're using URP or AGRP, just go into Edit, go down here into the render pipeline, Universal, and upgrade project materials to URP materials. So just do that, and yep, now everything is correctly using URP shaders. Okay, and with this, we can test out our scene to see it in action. Okay, so right away, here we have our really nice character in a third-person view. So by moving the mouse, I can actually move the camera around the character. And by pressing the usual movement keys, W, A, S, and D, I can simply move the character. This demo comes with a bunch of animations. So you've got the normal idle animation, you've got a walk animation. By holding down Shift, I can sprint, and by pressing space, I can jump. So all these animations, all really nice, all included in the project. This character controller supports going up some ramps, there you go, as well as going up some stairs. So as you can see, everything works exactly as you would expect in a third-person controller. And now here I am on the other demo for the first person, and once again everything works exactly the same. So I can walk, I can sprint, I can jump, I can look around, and yep, everything works correctly. So go up the ramp, go up the stairs, yep, all of it perfect. So as you can see, these two assets make for a really awesome starting point. And since this is made to be using the new input system, it also automatically supports pretty much any input. So I can move around with the keyboard, all of it great, and look around the mouse. And over here I've got an Xbox gamepad, so just by moving the joystick, there you go, everything works. So I can sprint, I can jump, and yep, and I can automatically change between keyboard, mousepad, everything perfect. And on top of that, the assets also include some pre-made touch controls. You just set up the prefabs and everything works. Okay, now that we've seen the final product, let's see how the scene is set up. So over here on the hierarchy, the first thing that we have is the main camera. So it's a pretty standard camera, and it's got a Sin machine brain. So that's pretty much it. Everything else is normal. Then you've got the player follow camera. This is the virtual camera. And on the type here on the body, it's set up to third person follow. And over here on the follow target, it's set up on the player camera root, which is an object inside the player. So if you select it, you can see, yep, it's that object. It's an invisible object that is right around shoulder height. So on the virtual camera, of course, you can play around all of these settings. For example, if you want to modify how far or close the camera is to the shoulder, you can just here modify the camera distance, make it closer or further away. If you want to make it a bit more offset, you can play around over here with the shoulder offset, put it a bit more to the side. And then you can play around with the camera side in order to shift from the left or right shoulder. Then, for example, if you were to build upon this to make a third-person shooter, you would have this as your normal camera setup, and then you would make a separate virtual camera for the zoom-in state. So on that second virtual camera, you would lower the FOV in order to zoom in. You'd perhaps go a bit more to the side. You would push the camera a little bit forward, and so on. So you would make one virtual camera for the normal state, another one for the aim state, and just swap between them. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a full tutorial on how you could take this and build a third-person shooter on top. Now, this virtual camera over here also has the obstacle setting, so that makes it so that the camera does not go through walls. So it's got a collision filter, so any object with physics on the default, it will not collide with this. And obviously it's going to ignore the player. Then down here on the noise, it also has a bunch of simple noise. So if you play the scene, yep, you can see the camera slightly swaying back and forth, just to add a little bit more life to the scene. By the way, if you find the video helpful, please hit the like button. It's a tiny thing, but it really does help. Thanks. And over here on the first person for the player follow camera, everything is pretty much exactly the same. Over here they are also still using the third person follow camera type. However, one thing here, which is on the shoulder offset, the X is set to 1. Now I believe this is a mistake since it should be on 0, so it's right on top of the camera. So if you're watching this in the future, chances are there's been an update that fixed this. So that's pretty much it, and everything else is exactly the same. Now back on the third person scene, the next object we can inspect is the player itself. So the first thing it's got is a simple animator. The first person has no animation, so no animator, but this one does. And on the included animations, you can see a whole bunch of animations. So you've got idle, walk, run, you've got jumping in the air, jumping and landing. So it's a pretty simple state machine over here with a handful of parameters and some blend trees and some transitions. So just with this, you've got the basics and you can easily build upon this to add tons more states. Then on the player, it's using a standard character controller. Everything is pretty normal with a height of 1.8 meters. Then you've got the third person controller script. Now you can mouse over each of these to see exactly what they do. You've got the basic things like you can modify the move speed, the sprint speed, and so on. You've got some jump logic, then some ground logic, and over here the Sin machine part. Now here there's actually one pretty important thing that is missing, which is the rotation speed. For me, based on my mouse settings, the sensitivity is way too high, so just by moving the mouse a bit, I can see it rotates way too much. So this sensitivity field isn't exposed anywhere, but you can inspect and see all the source code. So here it is, the third person controller, and you can see all of this. It's all written in a nice clean way, so you can take some time to study this code. Now for example, in order to add that sensitivity field, we can just go and find the function that handles the rotation of the camera. So here it is, the camera rotation function. And here you can see that all they're doing is taking the input loc x and loc y and just multiplying by delta time. So we can modify this and add a simple float to multiply. So for example, going up here, making a public float or a serialized field, I'm just keeping with the same standard use here. So let's call it loc sensitivity and just default it to 1f. And then down here on the camera rotation, we multiply the loc by time.delta time and then by our loc sensitivity. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now here we do have a field for loc sensitivity, and since mine was way too intense, I'm going to put maybe 0.5. And yep, now as I move the mouse around, now it looks a bit more natural. So just like this, you can easily customize the sensitivity, which will work both with mouse or gamepad or touch input. So the other components, you've got a basic rigid body push. This is simply to apply a force to push some other objects. And then you've got the script that handles the inputs. Now this one is using the new input system. And if you want to see all of the inputs, you can open up this input action asset. So you click on it and it shows up over here on the project files. So just double click on it and it shows up this window. And here you can see all of the actions that are defined, and they are defined both for keyboard as well as the mouse. So this new input system is actually something that I haven't yet covered on a dedicated video, but I might do it soon. It's insanely powerful. So you just define the actions and it works with pretty much anything. And then again, back on the player script, Over here you can see you've got a toggle for auto switch. So that's how you can very easily transition from using the keyboard to a gamepad without having to do anything. So it's a really awesome system. Okay, that's the third person controller. And on the first person is all pretty much exactly the same. So you've got the usual parameters. And on this one, you actually have the rotation speed exposed here. So this one kind of works like sensitivity. And everything else is pretty standard, so same inputs and so on. Okay, so now that we've seen how the demo works, let's see how you could add this to an existing environment. Now over here I've got a really nice map. This is from the Synty Studios Battle Royale pack. There's a link in the description if you want to get it. Now for starters, let's first import the first person controller since it's so simple. Let's just go into the start assets, inside the first person controller, inside the prefabs folder. Over here we've got all of the prefabs. Now the first thing that we need is the main camera. So just drop the prefab here. Yep, there it is. And now if you have a main camera on your scene, just delete it. In my case, I already deleted that. So there's only one camera. Then next thing that we need is the player follow camera. This is the virtual camera. And then we need the player itself. So just the player capsule, and there it is. Now to set this up, we just need to assign some things. So first over here on the main camera, by default this one isn't using post-processing. So if you have some effects, just enable it. There it is. Then on the player follow camera, the virtual camera, over here it requires the follow to be assigned. So this follow should be the object inside the player, so just expand it, grab the player camera root and put it there. There it is. Everything else is already set. And with just that, if we hit down and play, and yep, here I am inside the map. I can walk around, I can see everything, and yep, everything works. So as you can see, it literally takes just 30 seconds to add it to a new scene. Now let's see how to add the third person controller. It's pretty much the same thing, so let's go inside of that folder, let's go inside the third person folder, and let's see the prefabs. Yep. So first thing, drag the camera, then the player follow camera. Then if you don't want any animations, you can just import the player capsule. But I do want some animations, so let's import the player armature. Okay, there it is, there's the character. Now the same thing, let's just go into the follow camera and just assign the player camera root. There it is. And once again, just with this, just hit play. And yep, there you go, it's already working. So here I am in the map, I can walk around, I can run, I can jump, I can do anything. Yep, it's got collisions, everything works perfectly. Alright, so now the next thing is I want a different character. So on this same Battle Royale pack, there's a whole bunch of characters, so let me pick just a random one. So I've got a random character right there. Now I can drag this onto the scene, and there's the character, okay. And inside it, I can see this one is using this mesh, so if I click on the mesh and look at it, and let's see the FBX file, here it is, the characters. And over here, very importantly, you can see on the rig that this one has an animation type of humanoid. So that means that I can very easily swap out this character and use the exact same animations that we were using previously. You can do this with any character that is set to a humanoid rig. Now, in order to modify the character, first of all, we should not do any modifications to the original prefab. So for that, you can just right-click, go into prefab and unpack completely. So that essentially breaks the prefab connection. So now these are just normal game objects. And now over here inside the geometry, let me just drag the character and get rid of the previous one. And over here on this character prefab, it comes with an animator, but we don't need this since the animator is all the way up here. Okay, then the skeleton, which belongs to the other armature, we can also get rid of this one. And then on the player armature game object, over here we can simply swap out the avatar for the one using this mesh. So over here I've got the characters, that's the mesh that we're using, and down here it has the avatar. So just drag this one, and there you go, all the warnings go away, and everything works. So if I just hit on play, and yep, there it is, here is my custom character fully working. So once again, in just a few seconds, I got a custom character fully working. I can walk, run, jump, and look around, everything works. I'm reusing the same animations included in the free package, and this time with my nice new character. Alright, so as you can see, these two assets are really awesome. They are the perfect starting point. Based on how easy this is to implement, I could see this being a huge help in making some quick prototypes or some game jam games. You really just have to drag and drop, swap the assets, and you have a fully working character in literally seconds. Really awesome stuff. And once again, it's all completely free, so go ahead and download the packages and check them out for yourself. Again, if you're looking for a more guided path with step-by-step lectures, then check out my complete courses. Alright, hope that's useful. Check out these videos to learn some more. Thanks to these awesome Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.